all the wonderful things you've done, for all the victories that you have won, as joy comes with the rising sun. For giving us your only son, for letting us.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you again and to hear from you over the past week. And we are so excited to have you join us for One-on-One with Ann and Priscilla for the campaign Hear Their Voices, presented to you by icon.org.
Yes, we're so happy to bring you messages of pain and messages of hope. Yes, we bring you hard stories because we want you to be aware of what's happening. And it's our joy to do this. But we're also excited to bring you messages of hope of people that are doing something about the situation in Nigeria. Last week, we got to talk to our guest, and she had just shared with us some of the work that she is doing to support the displaced people in Nigeria. Today, we're excited for another guest who is working hard. She's an advocate, literally. She's a lawyer, and she's working hard to make sure that people who are unjustly imprisoned, people who are unjustly accused, people who do not know their rights, get to know that they have a right to not be treated the way they're being treated. We're excited for you to meet her. The past few weeks, like we said, we've been talking about people who are on the ground doing the work and fighting and bringing back hope in the midst of all the crisis that is happening. And we are honored, so honored this morning to be joined with Barrister Cecilia. She's such a blessing. She's the founding director of Advocacy for the Support of Prisoners and Indigent Rights, called Aspire. We are so excited to have you here, Cecilia. Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited to be here today too, and I'm grateful for the privilege to me. I hope we'll have a wonderful time together.
Yes, that's my prayer. And we have so many questions for you. But first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and just your history in Nigeria and your work?
I am Cecilia, as we have introduced ourselves already, and I'm a lawyer by profession. I worked with the Ministry of Justice from 2007 to 2009, when I now became fully involved in this ministry of Aspire. And since then, we've been working by faith, trusting God to help us to reach out to the less privileged people and the vulnerable in the society. To reach out to them, to help them with their rights, when their rights are trampled upon, and we come across it, we try to represent them in court, and sometimes we try to mediate between the parties. So that's briefly what we do under bigger representation and advocacy work most of the time. So in advocacy work, we try to make people understand what their rights are and what response to be when their rights are being trampled upon. And that we raise the awareness and also train people in advocacy work to enable them stand and also develop themselves.
Thank you so much for that. We have a bunch of questions to just bring to you, and I'm going to let Ann start with our first question.
So you're talking about rights, and that's something we are trying to understand. We've talked to talked to women, children over these weeks, and I think a lot of them feel powerless and helpless and don't know they even have rights.
Yeah.
Are you able to kind of explain what kind of rights they may have that they may not even know about?
Yes. In Nigerian Constitution, it makes provision for the rights of every citizen of Nigeria to practice the religion of his choice.
Hmm.
And every person is not supposed to be discriminated as a result of his religion. Even children are not to be discriminated as a result of the religion of their parents.
Hmm.
So these rights are the rights that is available for both whether women, children, or men. But we discovered that these rights are being trampled upon in Nigeria.
Hmm.
Children have the Child's Rights Act, which they are supposed to be educated, they're supposed to be in school, and they are not supposed to be forced to practice any religion that is not of their parents. They have the right to go to school. They have the rights for proper care.
Hmm.
But in our nation, we discover that these rights are being trampled upon, and especially some that does not even know what these rights are. They cannot even challenge it because they don't know.
Yeah, so Miss Cecilia, thank you so much for that. And I'm going to call you Barrister Mrs. Cecilia. Just one. How does the average woman or child go about challenging or figuring out their rights? Because we've talked to several people that have been displaced, that have been persecuted. I'm particularly intrigued that there's a law that said children are free to have their own religion, because I know so many people that are persecuted by their families because they switched religion, or they started going to a different church. So how do they enforce their rights? So for example, somebody is being persecuted in their village because they're choosing to be of a different religion. How can they step out? How can they find help to enforce their rights?
When a child is not up to 18 years, that child is still under the guardians of the parents.
Hmm.
And the parents decide the religion that that child will practice. But when a person is up to 18 years, that person has the right to describe the religion that he or she wants to practice. And if those rights are being trampled upon, such a person needs to go to run to those that knows the law, the lawyers that are in their environment, or go to states that they can be easily they can easily assess people that can stand for them. Because most of the time where they live, they are already under siege. And the justice, that is, they take the law into their hands and act immediately by either killing a person even before the person will even think of running away to place to seek justice. So it is advisable that such a person will leave that environment knowing there's a hostile environment to them. Our laws are not being respected by our citizens, especially those that they feel that their religion must be practiced by force. So for somebody to even seek justice, the person must leave that environment. If not, he may not even live to seek for justice.
I think it's important to just repeat what you just said, just for our audience, because there might be some people watching this right now, live or in the future. Leave the environment, the hostile environment, and find help. So I just want you to talk a little bit more about your organization and what kinds of people are you able to help? What kind of women and children have you been able to advocate for? And what are the results that you're seeing?
We advocate for women and children in the far northern parts of Nigeria, so that their rights will not be trampled upon, and they can be protected even against this early marriage thing, forced marriage, and so many other evil done against women and children. And as a result of our advocacy work, we've seen that though the people are rising up to the occasion to speak on behalf of their women, on behalf of the children, and they will even go before the leaders, that's the community leaders, which are at the other side of the religion, and demand for the release of these uh, women, girls, the underage girls, you know. They go there and demand them that they need to release these children to them. And the testimony comes that after that they are being released. But before then, they do not know that they have the right to even go and demand. They
Yeah.
feel that they are obligated to just come to the activities of these people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to call our viewers' attention to what we are seeing right now on our screen. You can go look at all the work that they've been doing, even as we're talking. It's aspiring.org. Go find information and educate yourself. And do you have any additional questions?
I do. I'm wondering, we're hearing from all these people who are having a wedding and then they're attacked. Do you know of any cases that have been brought to trial, any convictions made? Is there any precedence that is being set right now related to these violent attacks, whether it's Boko Haram or the Fulani militants?
It is unfortunate that these people that have been perpetrating this wickedness, this brutality and barbaric behaviors, it happens every day in the country, especially in Plateau State, in Kaduna State. You know, it happens every day. People are being killed, but there's none, even the ones that the security agents are able to arrest, you will not hear anything about it. By the time you are asking questions, you'll be told that they transferred them to Abuja, and there will be no news about it again. So I have not heard of single case that they've been tried and prosecuted and sentenced to have it as a deterrent.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy stuff. Oh my goodness. Is there anything that the average person can do to put some pressure on the government to begin to bring these people to justice? I know a lot of what you do is about justice and freedom for the oppressed, for those who are unlawfully detained. So is there anything that we can do, maybe as people in America or as the average people in Nigeria can do to put pressure on the government? I know there has been some peaceful protests this week in Nigeria regarding people that have been imprisoned unjustly. But is there something that the average person can do to change this precedence of people not being held accountable for the killings?
Average thing that a person can, what an average person can do, one is to help to support the cases of persecuted Christians that are being prosecuted in the court. For example, there is a case of a community of Christians in Plateau State that the whole community were ransacked and arrested haphazardly on an accusation which in reality is a kind of false, and then they were all detained, and then some are in prison even at this moment, and the cases are going on, But in reality, it is just persecution because these are Christian community.
Mm.
Somebody was killed, and then the security agents claim it was a retired general. This man, that he went out, he was traveling to Bauchi, and then they said he was killed, and then they went to that community and ransacked the whole community. In fact, people ran away from that community completely until after some time they went back. But there are people at this moment, they are still in prison on the ground that they are responsible for killing that a Muslim general. But in reality, it is not true because they do not have proof to show that this thing is it is. But in fact, the federal government are the ones that came to Plateau State to prosecute the case by themselves.
So what you're saying is it's not just that the injustice of people who are being killed, the people who are doing the killings are not being arrested, but innocent Christians are being arrested for crimes they did not commit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Wow.
What I'm saying is that for us is to see how we can support to prevent an innocent person being sentenced to prison. We can make then an ordinary person can also make advocate to the government for these killings to stop, even though people have been doing that. People have been doing that, but nothing is being done. Instead, people have been arrested because they came out to speak against injustice, against the evil that is taking place. One, I believe you may have even heard of one Melafia that the DSS has been calling him over and over because he made a statement of some information, vital security information that he knew of the attack that has been planned concerning the nation.
Right.
That is what is.
So I know that ICON has been working with him directly. So that's a good thing that you're aware. And I just wanted to ask you another question, Barrister Cecilia. With all these things that you're dealing with, all these stories that are so difficult to hear and emotionally draining, what keeps you hopeful, and what keeps the people around you hopeful?
Well, one of the things that keep me hopeful is the fact that I believe that with advocacy, training, and human rights awareness that we do to the less privileged, and especially our persecuted Christians, they get to know their rights better, and they'll be able to stand for themselves. The level of the harassment will be reduced. That is one. And two, I believe that with prayers, as we pray for people, and then as Christians try to support what we are doing by raising funds for us to be able to do the work, it will make impact. And I believe that by faith, I believe the time will come that these people will be able to stand to resist the evil that is happening.
Thank you so much, Miss Cecilia. You just infused in me a lot of faith, because sometimes we hear so much of this negative and negative and negative, and it's hard to stay strong and it's hard to believe. But I just want to draw our audience's attention to three things she mentioned. One, you can put pressure on the government. You can direct people to advocacy education, people who may need to know their rights. you see the information. You know, if you don't know where to go to icanhelp.org, or go to her website, aspire.com, I believe it was, and aspiring.org. And the third thing she said is you can't do the work per se, but you can give money for them to do the work. So I have a couple more questions, but I want to start with this, Barrister Cecilia. How can people have access to the training that you offer? I looked at your website and I'm like, this is all amazing things. Where are you? Where can people find you? How can they have access to the training and the education that you give?
Well, our office is at number 1 North Avenue. That is at Equa Production Limited building. That's where our office is, room 15. So anybody that wants to get across to us can come through the
And
Equa
what city is
Production.
that?
Hello?
What city is that?
In Jos,
Okay.
that's the Jos State. Jos Plateau State at Equa Production Limited is close to Equa headquarters.
And so is there a place they can go to online as well? Do you have social media presence where I'm seeing on your website they can send you a message directly? I just want to draw information, screenshots this, y'all. If you're in Jos and you need this kind of education, I can see there are phone numbers that people can reach you with. And thank you so much. I want to just bring this a little bit more personal. You have personally encountered terrorism, you and your family. Can you give us a little bit of insight? Because this is not just something, you caring for people out there. You and your family have personally experienced this kind of injustice and this kind of terrorism. Can you just tell us the story about your experience with this?
Well, it was traumatic, and at that moment, it was like everything. It's like your life is almost. You are thinking almost your life is finished, and then you begin to recover, and then you are thinking, how will this happen? It's like a dream. Is it real? It's like feel okay. When I sleep and wake up, I'll discover that it's not true. But then it's true. And then there's so much pains and dizziness, and weakness. One becomes sick, even when ordinarily you are not supposed to be sick. We became vulnerable. We were empty, and that is the situation of most of the people that have gone through this. We visited camps to reach out with humanitarian help, and we see the way these people are. They are completely, you feel naked and helpless, Then, the things that are happening even in this camp as a result of this terrorism, up till this moment, camps are still there where the Christians are still in camps. And then the children are being raped there. Even women, they are being raped. So it is not a good thing to think about. But these children cannot go to school because the parents that were taking care of them, suddenly maybe the father is killed, and then there's nothing. Everything they had is destroyed. So they became empty, and like you are feeling just naked, and that is the situation. So they are so vulnerable that anybody can just do anything to the women and the girls in the camp. And we felt that way. I felt that way at that time too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being vulnerable with us and sharing your story. Our audiences, some of them might want to know if you are able to, if this is okay, to walk us step by step, what exactly happened when the terrorists came to your area and came to your house, and what happened with your house. What was the events that led up to that, led up to them coming to your house? Can you just shed some light on that?
Okay, then that was in 2008. The we were just hearing rumors that they have this the killings. It is a killing, and it was they wear the uniform, the army uniform there,
Hmm.
and then even came with armor tanks. So they started shooting and killing people. So people were running even right before they would reach our place
Hmm.
and around where they call Congo Russia then. So when people were running, we too we decided to run to
Hmm.
another place. So as we ran to that place, then as the people are being shot and they were saying that they have shot so person, they are so. So my husband now decided to let him go and pick the car in the house and pick the people that they are being shot to the hospital. So he went and then picked the car out. As he was pulling out the car, the gates were being pushed, so he even smashed the car at the gate
Hmm.
and pulled out the car with force and then drove towards where he needed to pick the people. So we were out of the house. Then he down before he left pick the car, he now said let him he doubt whether this house will survive. He said, let me just pick our certificate. So he
Hmm.
asked us to go out of the house. So we went to the next neighbor where our neighbors, that is away from our home.
Hmm.
Then he drove the car. So when he drove the car and went to to pick the people, that is when they came. So when they came, we were not in the house, and then they now set the house on fire. Uh, uh, Displaced people that people have to come and be giving us. Some will give us clothes, some will give us food, even pots to cook. You know, all those things. People have to bring one by one. This person will bring. The first time we slept in the house, there was no curtains, nothing. The mosquitoes were biting us. There was cold, but we just have to stay. And gradually, before we're able to pick up again.
Thank you for the sharing that, Cecilia. I know it probably brings you right back to the event itself, and I know that's really difficult. We thank you so much for your time that you've spent with us and the things that you've shared with us to encourage other people and just for the work that you're doing. Right, Priscilla?
Yeah, we're so thank you. Thank you so much, Barrister Cecilia, because the stories we've been hearing over and over again is the people who are fighting for others, the people that have experienced this themselves, and you are dealing with your own trauma, and you are standing as an advocate, literally, in this situation, as an advocate for those who are less privileged. And we just, as an icon, as a family, we want to say thank you for the ways that you're giving yourself, for the way the ways you're serving your community, and the ways you're serving God by serving these people. I grew up in Jos and spent all of my life in Jos, and you're saying all these places, and it's coming back to my mind. And I'm thankful that the people in Jos have you and your work to look up to. We're grateful that you shared this time with us. Our audience really needed to hear what you had to say. You have no idea how important this is for us. And so thank you for being with us. We're grateful. We are going to continue to pray for you. I'm so grateful for the connection I've gotten to have with you. And I want to assure you that this will not be the last time you will hear from us. We're excited for the work you're doing. And please keep letting us know how we can support you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'm most privileged to be granted this opportunity. Thank God for what you're doing. Lord bless you all.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Wish you the same. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And I really want to hear your thoughts about that conversation because I'm in my head right now, and that was very revealing, but very scary at the same time. What are your thoughts?
Well, my main thought is I'm just every time amazed how Nigerian people are so resilient. You know, we Americans have so many resources at our disposal. And, you know, we can work through our trauma, we can talk to somebody. But in Nigeria, when there's not options, they just have to deal with it. And I'm always amazed at that. And also, like, I can't get my head around it. I mean, it's not that they don't need help, but somehow they've had to just continue on. There's not a question of that. So that's kind of what I've been hit with again.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think the biggest thing for me, Anne, is people lived this trauma and they're doing something about it. What am I doing? I keep coming back to that question because you can say it doesn't, it's none of my business. Or I'm not as connected, or I'm not in Nigeria, or it doesn't affect me. But what am I doing? What can I do today? It just hit me, she's sharing all these things and we're like, yeah, she's coming from outside to support, but she has lived her own trauma.
Right.
You could all see how deeply physically moved she was just sharing the feelings of her trauma, not even just the experience, but the emotions that produced in her.
Right.
And I haven't, I don't know about you, Anne, but I haven't lived I've not experienced that much trauma in any aspect of my life.
No.
And I'm like, what is my excuse? And I want to pose that to our audience. What's your excuse? These are human lives. At this moment, we don't have evidence that the government is helping. And there are people fighting with the government. She's an advocate. She's a barrister. And she is advocating for people. But what can we do practically? You can go to iconhelp.org right now, /engage, and figure out a way to help. You can communicate with your representative in the US for them to speak into this situation and put pressure on the Nigerian government to act. What can you do today? You can donate $5, $10, $20, $50, $1,000 at iconhelp.org/engage. You have no idea how much it will help this kind of work, how much it will help this kind of advocacy. And the bare minimum, y'all, you can click share. Right. Anybody can share this. Click share, click the share button, share this. Hashtag share their voices. Hashtag one-on-one AP. Hashtag silent slaughter. Share this on Instagram, on Twitter. Go to the YouTube link and blast it on your social media. You can share it from YouTube. My people, I beg. That's how I would say it. I beg. This is critical. This is a critical emergency. If you didn't have faces to people that have been affected, now you do.
Right.
It's time to stop the silence. It's time. It's way past time. I need to stop saying it's time because it's been past time 20 years ago. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
And thank you for always bringing us back to that, Priscilla. You can't bring it back to us enough, all of us, and I'm including myself in that.
Yeah.
Thank all of you, our audience, for listening to another episode of Anne and Priscilla, and hear their voices. And we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great week.
Thank you.